All right, so we just wrapped up Marissa's last day here on her 4-week rotation as a first-year DPT student at AT Still, and she's going to tell you what her, what she learned, all kind of in a nutshell, and the big take-homes that she's going to move forward with the rest of her schooling and her career.
So I would say my biggest take-home message from this whole experience was learning how to break everything down into its smallest pieces. So in school we learned so much about everything, and I really learned in the clinic to learn how to break it down to anatomy and biomechanics. And as long as I can figure out the root cause of the problem, you can pretty much treat any patient condition. And we learned a lot about differential diagnosis and a lot of other things like that. And while those are important, it's still the root cause of all of those issues comes down to the anatomy and biomechanics. So it's a lot simpler than it seems, I've realized. Coming from school, being in school for an entire year, I've learned that it's a lot easier than it seems, and as long as you know your basic anatomy and biomechanics.
Cool. So that was one of the things that Marissa and her classmate Taylor that was here with her, we talked about on the first day. I had them do an exercise, and after doing that exercise that showed you how complicated and messy we have made physical therapy as a profession, Marissa kind of sat there and she said, wow, we make things a lot harder than we have to.
Yeah, pretty much.
And so we just talked a second ago about how even though she's only done with her first year, they've already gone through neurophys, they've already gone through anatomy, they've gone through biomechanics. So if you know those three things, which everybody should be applying anatomy and biomechanics, like on the basic level, even if you're doing old school physical therapy. But what they forget is the neurophys component of it, and the further you stray from neurophys, the more noise comes in, and that's when we start getting into the pitfalls of the conventional model.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that was the biggest thing, was I wasn't able to, before I started this rotation, be able to make all of those connections between the neurophys and the anatomy and the biomechanics, but now I feel like I've kind of tied everything together, and every condition is definitely treatable with physical therapy that I've seen here.
Another thing that she brought up and Taylor brought up probably like halfway through this is they were like, well, this is only our first rotation. I don't know how we're going to go to our other rotations that are more like conventional based PT clinics and survive, because we know how to do things that are completely different and better than what the other people are doing there. So my hope is for these two moving forward, they can take what they learned here and continue to apply it and educate others in the field, so we can get out of the broken model, change things for the better, get back to making things simple, and move forward.
Exactly.
All right, that's it.